Welcome back, Pirate Crew, for another interesting Market Watch and news segment. So, welcome back to another Market Watch Monday. Thank you guys so much for supporting the little Market Watch that we have that comes by every week. And in this week's news, I'm going to talk about the 1K that happened this week. We had a 1K here in Orlando, Florida, hosted by Versus Gaming. And Versus Gaming ended up having a top 8 that was really not what I expected at all. Completely unexpected. So I want to run down what decks took the top 8 so you guys are aware of those decks. We've got deck lists. Thank you to Mr. Orange Samurai D here in the corner. I know he has some different social media outlets, but I know him from Facebook and follow because he has very interesting deck profiles that he always posts up from winning tournaments. So with that, let's get to it. It seems like Purple won after Swiss. They did not play top 8 because this tournament was a best of 3. And then going into time rules. So the best of 3 maybe made the tournament a little longer. It was a 44-man tournament, and they were playing for $1,000. So since it wasn't a Bandai sanctioned event, they didn't have to follow the Bandai rules. And here we go. So in a best of 3 format, which I believe is a more consistent format, Purple, after Swiss, Purple took it and won the whole thing. I'm not sure if this was the purple list or if it was this one. Either or, it was a purple deck that got first place. It didn't really specify. So what is interesting about both of these purple lists, I'm going to show them off in the screen here, but there's a couple things that I want to highlight. First thing I want to highlight about this one is the fact that they're going 3-3 on the top end. I can see that. I can agree with that. And this split right here on the 7s, I do not agree with. I think that this king from the Romance Dawn OP01 set is an insane card. Very, very good card. But what is interesting about this is that we're playing Black Maria to increase our block. We're also playing Brachio Bomber for some extra ramp, as well as an assortment of the big vanillas. We got Big Chungus himself and Babanuki. Very interesting cards, as we have a 5-mana 7/1 and a 7/9/1. Both of these cards are pretty solid. Not that I dislike them in any means. I've actually been testing out what I call a vanilla rush deck, and there may or may not be a deck profile / gameplay of that deck coming to you this week. What the differences that I see in this deck is that we're not maxing out on the 2Ks, right? We have a 4/3 and and a 4 of X-Drake, but we do not play a 4/4/4. We use these vanillas as 1Ks because, like I said, Purple sometimes lacks that 1K if it's not the 2K blockers. And I did see that they went down to the 2 Bagua, which I'm an enjoyer of. And the Brachio Bomber. So I really do like this lineup. And as for the other purple player, another Babanuki enjoyer, one of the Brachio Bomber upping on the king, and then he dropped the 10 for the king. I don't know if I would do that. I think the 10 cost is way too crucial to the strategy of most of the purple decks to be able to drop him down to 2. Even as is, I've played him at 3, even at 4, and sometimes I don't see him when I need him. But I also understand that he gets a little cloggy. So very well built by both of these players. Babanuki coming to a purple deck near you, huh? And Black Marias, both of them on the double Black Maria, both of them on the Babanuki, and then I believe this player, which is the deck's name is Beer Can, went ahead and he did max out on the 2Ks. So just a subtle differences there. I guess the other player played Big Chungus instead of the ulti, but yeah, for the most part, the decks are equivalent. We swapped a card here. Second place was taken by Green. No surprise there. This is a very interesting green list, as it maxes out on cards that I wouldn't max out on. And respect. Got second place in best of 3, so definitely nothing to scoff at. We've got 4 of the Momo. My God, does that mean this is a greedy list? Because if you have 4 of the Momo, it means that in the mirror match, you can be a little greedier because you have 2 of the field spell searchers. I call them field spell because they stay on the board and they keep tapping every turn. Once they're behind Big Daddy over here. So 4 of the Momo, dang, that's a lot. I don't even know how many targets. Let's say it's 4, 8, 12. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, so that's 16, 19, 21 Wano targets. 21 Wano targets is not bad whatsoever. I think maybe 23 Wano targets is not bad, because once you're above 20, that's like the threshold that you want for a top 5 searcher. Your probability of hitting is really, really high. And then I'm assuming Bonnie's is also extremely high, as we have 4 of the Trigger Killer, which helps you deal with aggro. We've got 4 of Oppo because he's a 2k counter. And then we've got a couple of really big non-counter powered cards that excessive, like that they just come down and sort of pseudo end the game, right? So the game plan with green, as always, I guess as you guys noticed, they kind of can take their life offensively, you know, depending on the matchup, and then kind of sit back on these big blockers and use them to end the game within the, you know, 1 to 2 turns while getting the advantage of life as well as the field spell searchers. So cards that I'm interested in, Raizo. I mean, Raizo is really cool. He's been creeping into a lot of lists. He's a 3 for 4. He can turn sideways. You don't need to put a Dawn under him to get the draw power. And more often than not, you'll have a card rested because of Bonnie or Momo or Eustace Captain Kidd, either of them. So definitely you'll get a draw off of this card every single turn. So it offers a threat because it's constantly giving you advantage. It has a nice stat line. It can clear versus aggressive decks. Paradise Waterfall, an amazing card, coupled up with, again, the 7-drop Kid or the Trafalgar Law. You also have the X-Drake, allowing you for tempo with the Killer. So very cool. Cards that I don't see here are the 2-drop Killer Blocker, a 3 of this guy, 4 of this 7-drop is a lot, but I understand that the 7-drop does really well into a lot of matchups that aren't blue, which, funnily enough, let's start the blue train. So many blue decks topped. I think it was 3 Doffies and 1 Crocodile. So, okay. And all of the blue lists look extremely similar. So I'm going to cover one of them. I don't even think there is a difference between them, except in like their top end counts, right? So this one's playing... Oh, no. This one... I don't know. We'll get to it. But basically, we're on the 3 Mihawks across the board. 3 Mihawks, which, my lord, on a Doffy deck seems very heavy, but I guess it is what it is. On 2 to 3 Doffy, some amount of Virgo, and then obviously we're going to get to the 4, 4, 3, 4. You know, all of these become almost staples at that point. They're all on Love Love Beam, no Spada. So if they must be hard mulligan, these Flamingo decks, for Flamingo or for Perona. If you don't see them, you're going to have a tough time using your leader ability. He's going to turn basically into a vanilla, and I saw that most of them were on the Pacifista engine on a 4-3 split. And then this gentleman, I believe he was on a 4-3 and a 1 split. He also, so one of them played the vanilla Pacifista, or maybe that was the Crocodile player. But as you can see, the top end is 3-3-2 or 3-2-3, and then the rest of it is basically the same. So congratulations to all these Doflamingo players. Deck is very hard to pilot, and I do not know what to say. In a best of 3 format, your games are really long. This deck is really grindy. I don't know. It's really hard. Congratulations. It was an amazing show out from all those players. I've played a lot of blue, and I heavily struggle with it to get my dubs with it. So these guys are certainly doing something that I'm not. Or there's something that I got to learn about blue that I'm not doing adequately. As for honorable mentions, we have a Zoro list that is a little akin to mine. A mid-range Zoro list that plays a Shanks top end. We play an Uda Cow, and then a bunch of the rushers. So we have this really heavy non-counter power package that is easily protected by our assortment of 2k counters. We have 3 of the 2-drop Monkey D. Luffy. Do love this card. This player is also playing 4 of the In 2 Years because he is playing a lower spell count, and he is playing the Red Hawk. I mean, this is a fantastic list. Personally, I opt to play just more 2k counters as opposed to the In 2 Years, but very akin to the list that I've been showing on my channel. So congratulations to this player. Amazing. And the Crocodile list, very spicy. We're playing 4 of the Jinbei. As Jinbei plays with the Crocodile effect so well, you'll pay 4 for the Jinbei, remove a card, so you don't have to ever deal with it again, and then you can use the Crocodile effect to flip. Really nice. Also on the Pacifista engine, using the blocker Pacifista as a 4-3-1 split, instead of the Bartholomew Kuma, we have the Centaumaru to summon the Pacifistas. So very cool. This deck also is super heavy as it's going 4 on the Mihawk. I don't, and Dolphy, right? We don't have a Virgo in this deck. We're using the Pacifistas as our big boys. So this is very similar again to what I was trying to do with my Crocodile. He went a lot heavier than I did, respectfully, I think, because I did a bunch of different top end cards. But the idea is still the same. Mihawk feels really good with Crocodile because when you play Mihawk, follow it up with like a Law, or you can keep a Dawn up for a Spada, and then you can Crocodile effect right after. So you can bottom deck and bounce, and that is an insanely nice tempo swing. It's just I find it hard sometimes to get all the way to 10, and sometimes I'm forced to use this effect before I have to. So congratulations to all these players. I just wanted to show you guys these lists that topped this 1K event, 44 player tournament, playing for real money. So people were out playing as hard as they could. Now on to the market watch. For this week's market watch, I just want to be, again, it's just going to be a very short little segment where I just talk about the cards that I think can go up, big winners, losers, and what's going on in general. Why are the cases $2,000? Can anyone explain this? Well, I guess it's just another easy explanation of we just don't have a lot of cases out there, right? At least that's what I would think, right? We just do not have enough cases out in the open for people to acquire at this point in time. So now the cases have gone from, if you pre-ordered this, do not get this twisted. If you pre-ordered a Romance Dawn set with PPG, they were $800 for a case. You are now almost tripling your initial investment if you kept your case sealed. And this is not just one sell. If this case gets bought, this can go all the way. Look, there's only 6 potential listings. There's just not a lot of product out there. I know people are trying to get their hands on stuff, but man, $2,200 for a case of OP01 with potential reprints down the line is really scary. Really, really scary. Yeah, not financial advice, but my goodness, do these cases go for a lot of money? This is like gold at this point in time. And then now talking about the big winners of last week, Don Quixote do Flamingo Blocker. Yeah, this card shot up insane after, I don't think it was because of my market watch by any means, but man, were we right about this card, right? So we were talking about it at the $40 mark, and then it just shot all the way up. I think we have a sell here at $100. This card is insane. Is it $100 insane? Maybe not. But it's a really, really good card. And with the showing after this 1K that there were 3 out of the top 8 were blue, which is insane to me. And all of them were maxing out on this card. We can definitely see how important this blocker is to the Flamingo strategy. Mihawk. All those Flamingo lists were playing minimum 2 to 3 Mihawks. I think 3 was actually the minimum. So potentially wrong on this card. It just, I don't know, man. Every time I play him, he just feels too heavy. Maybe I just draw him too much, so I have like a weird bias on him. But it went from 45 bucks down to 40. Not a good dip. Maybe 40 is a good price to get him at. It is really tough to say. This card, you can see more pain with this card. This card can drop down to the 30s very easily. Or it can maintain 40 to 45 range. So if you feel comfortable with a potential loss of 10 bucks for a card that you acquire, this is the card for you. It is also an exceptionally good looking card. It looks amazing. Just look at this. The art on this card is fantastic. So at the very worst, it does have some collector value because of who Mihawk is in the storyline and the insane amount of insane art that this card has in reality. As well as our really big winner for this week, we've got Eustace Captain Kidd. It's about dang time. It's about dang time, guys. I have been saying to buy this card since he was $30. I have been saying this is the best card in OP01. There is no reason this card is $30. I don't understand why it's taken people so long to realize this. This card is an oppressive bully. One of the cards that should not have been printed in OP01. Probably the card that should not have been printed in OP01. And finally, he has reached some insane heights. Look, we have 2 sellings at 85, and then he's up to 140. I'm not sure if this is an $140 card, but certainly as we get closer and closer to the treasure cups, this card can still see some climb. Now, I don't advise you buying it at $85. 85 is really high. This seems to have gotten bought out within the recent past. You know, today is the 8th as of recording this video, and it's jumped all the way from $60. It was even sold at 40s today, all the way to 70. It's made a really big climb today. Maybe it got bought out today, so 85 might be close to the top. Be careful with this card, but it is still, I believe, it is worth the $85. It is just that good of a card. Queen. Cool, finally. Finally, I've been telling about this card for maybe a month now, about how it is viable. It is an alt art. The cases are $2,200. All the alt arts should be some assortment of money. Whether this card is $22 worth or not, because of the amount that you play in the deck, is really up to you. I think just because of the rarity of this set in general, these cards definitely do go up in price. And this queen is a playable card. Initially, it was like $8 when I was talking about it, so it's already tripled in its value. So if you guys got it within time, congratulations. It is a fantastic card to add to any purple deck. It's very techy, and it offers a different mechanic for purple that isn't really available. As for cards to pick up, Yamato. Yamato at $22 doesn't seem terrible. I mean, this is a fake $22 because there is a $5 shipping tag sitting next to it. So this card is more akin to $28. It's about a $30 card when we round up, right? Yeah, we need some assortment of this in our decks, whether it be any deck that plays green can play this card. And if your deck is as greedy as the green players that are playing it and you're playing 4 Momos, yeah, this card is insane. It offers some sort of weird late game ending push. And behind an 8-drop Captain Kid, when you're sitting behind Big Daddy, it's not an easy card to clear, right? Because you're not only having to clear the Big Daddy, you have to clear the Yamato, and a 5k body is easy to remove, but an 8k defended card that you have to delete before you delete this, it makes it much more difficult. And each turn, this card's either ripping cards from your hand or it's ending the game, right? And that is the strategy. Once you look at decks and you look at the green decks in general, Raizo, right? He's a 4k. His body's easy to remove. Yeah, it's easy to remove when he's on his own, but not when he's behind the captain himself. So you got to look at that when you start looking at green decks, and Yamato definitely represents a weird endgame potential for green that wasn't previously there. And therefore, I would recommend looking at this card if you're interested in playing green decks, just to have it in your arsenal. This king, it wasn't played in heavy amounts by either of the purple decks that topped in the 1k, but I do believe that this card is necessary in higher counts, whether it be 2, 3, or even if you're crazy enough, 4. You do have to see some assortment of this card to win the aggressive matchups, to win the law matchup, and just to push through on the finishing of many, many games. Dropping this on curve is insane, right? The opener that purple wants to do is stage into Brachio Bomber or King, and then King or Kaido on the following turn. If you're going second, you can stage and go straight into this King, which is also really, really nice. So it offers that potential. If you're going against a red player, which they'll opt to go first, you go second, you go stage on 2, this King on 3, and then Kaido on 4, and you're in a very, very good spot. So that's why I do want to max out on these cards that just blow out the game. Not only is he winning you the tempo game, that 7k body is going to do God's work. But at $32, I don't know if he has much more room to grow. Maybe a $40 card at maximum. And since he's already at $33, you have $7 to gain and only like another 10 to lose. So the risk with this card is pretty high, but a very, very good card in my opinion to pick up. And as for a penny stock of the week, I guess, Miss All Sunday. Miss All Sunday is sitting at 75 cents. This card is Baroque, like it is Baroque. And definitely go check it out. It is really, really unbalanced. As this game continues to unfold, any Baroque leader will probably want to play this card in high quantities. As our events get better through the course of this game, this card will become a very, very big problem. If you do not have a playset, acquire your playset and sit on it for some time. This card is, I don't even know how to say it. She is one of the most broken cards I've ever read in this game thus far. And I think with that, guys, we end our week's Market Watch. Thanks to you again for coming out, supporting the channel, for watching the content. If you liked it, please leave a like down below. If you want to talk about any of the things that we discussed during this video, leave a comment. I interact very much with the comments. And as always, if you guys aren't part of the crew, consider subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.